This is Mavis' Shoe. This is my book. It's a novel, but it's about the Clydebank Blitz, which was the most devastating attack on a single town in the whole of Britain in the whole of World War II. When Mavis' Shoe was published, we did 3 launch events, one in Clydebank, and then we did a mini dramatisation for the I Write Book Festival in ironbbratz. Here in ironbbratz, we called out to artists to respond to the book, and they did, and then we had a launch and an exhibition, which was great. Writing a book is not so unlike painting a very big picture, because you have to build up your colour scheme and your themes and your textures and so on. My ideas generally, they come from all sorts of places. Maybe something I've seen, something I've wondered about, an incident that I haven't fully understood. It's always good to write about something that you don't know too much about, because then you get to research it and find out and learn something. So you're learning while you're creating. ironbbratz has been fantastic for me. Well, firstly because it's given me a space that I know for absolute sure I can come in here and get peace and quiet and work. And I suspect maybe the shoe wouldn't be published if that hadn't been the case, because I got that chunk of time to go over it again. But also, when I get lost with writing, I quite often get started again by looking at visual art or listening to music, and it doesn't necessarily mean I've sought things out. I think I write quite visually as well, so this is just a really exciting place for me to be.
I just made this project called I'm 26 and I've got nothing. I suppose a lot of the time when I'm making projects, I'm either thinking about whether I want to make objects or whether I want to make projects. So sometimes I might make a handmade object that kind of articulates a social situation, or sometimes I'm interested in kind of social situations that instigate object production. I'm actually working on a new project at the minute, which is a survey into the aesthetic of happiness that sort of studies how happiness manifests itself in objects, and that's going to be I suppose a nationwide survey into other artists' practice. Working at ironbbratz at the minute and kind of having a space to come every day really gives me a place to focus, but also because I'm quite interested in certain social dynamics in my work, I think just having a community of new people around me has definitely given me new ways to think about future projects and new people that I might want to work with in the forthcoming months.
I think I've probably spent about a month just trying to make casts of strawberries. My work's primarily involving Victorian imagery. I do all sorts of different media though, like drawing, sculpture, lately I've been working a lot on painting, but I'm very multidisciplinary. I think a lot of times I have an idea and it presents itself in a way that demands a specific medium. Lots of people make work that requires outside help, and that's fine, but for me personally I'd rather do everything myself, and it means learning a lot and making a lot of mistakes along the way. Since graduating, if I hadn't been in ironbbratz I wouldn't have a space to work in. It's been really good being around a wider variety of practitioners as well. Obviously in art school it's a bit more insular, but here having designers and people from different schools and different backgrounds, people who are self-taught, it's been really helpful for me just having a different kind of dialogue surrounding the work. Being in ironbbratz has been really crucial to the work that I've been making the last few months.
The subject of my work is investigating the art of the everyday, using everyday subjects, objects, spaces and places. The writing sort of informs the painting in that I'm working to do with academic theory and trying to see how that can be manifest in visual works. In terms of specific influences, probably Jeff Wall. He takes an actual event and remakes it in a very theatrical, stylised way, sort of making an unreal version of something real that's happened. One of my recent projects, it was in Glasgow, and I made a series of works based on the visuals of Time magazine, so just taking the the everyday aesthetics from a throwaway magazine and effectively reworking them with paint and collage techniques to make them into something more, to have a reevaluation of an everyday image to then be a painted outcome. In terms of constructing my paintings, I start with a photographic image and then photocopy and enlarge that again and again, degrading the quality of the original to any scale that I want, and then I work layering paint, oil and gloss on the top of that to really give a falsified version of reality, a really different kind of sheen, a hyper-real sort of sense. Well, I've not been here for that long, but it seems to be a fantastic group of people here, and there's always somebody else in the studio, so it's the idea of being able to interact with people who are at the sort of same stage in their career, and I'm really looking forward to getting involved with the crits as well. It's something that stops as soon as you finish art school, but getting other people's opinion on what you're doing I think is going to be really valuable.
I don't go out looking for a project or a certain thing. I go out with a camera. Just like if the light's right or if there's something interesting happening, then I'll take a photo of it. I think when I'm working it is based around myself, just because it's what I see and what I'm looking for. So yeah, there's a very personal tone to most of my work. I have done some fashion photography and costume photography and jewellery photography. I'm quite good at studio setup photography. I've got lots of friends who do these things, so I like to help them out by photographing their work, but it also gives me a chance to do something more technical that I have to really think about, like getting the lighting right, and so it's nice to have a break from just being that sort of instinctual person. It's nice to have something a wee bit more structured added. I like to be quite creative with what I do, so I like to sort of push the boundaries a wee bit. It's made me refocus again after college. I think it's nice to have somewhere where you can go where there's a mix of people that are all doing different things that you can bounce ideas off of and just have a chat with if you need to. So it's a nice place to come just to actually have a creative mind and focus on it.
I'm a freelance graphic and web designer. I mainly produce promotional material for arts-based organisations, in particular theatre companies. I have just recently started to take up illustration. This is solely, the whole reason behind this was since I moved into ironbbratz and being amongst artists instead of designers, it's made me want to come off the computer and get back onto the drawing board, so to speak. My illustration work is mostly inspired by Russian folk art, Russian criminal tattoos, medieval woodcut drawings. My design and my art are completely separate. They haven't crossed paths yet, and maybe it eventually will, but at the moment no one's came to me asking for a depressed looking Russian styled website of wrinkled faces. The great thing about being in ironbbratz, when you show work to artists, they see things in your work that you might not have seen or intended to do. It encouraged me to start to actually take up, literally just stop working on a computer. So for me, ironbbratz is a place where I can draw and paint and generally just make a mess and come back in the next day and continue to make whatever it is I make actually.
Okay.
I'm a 23-year-old visual artist based in Glasgow, and I paint and draw and take photographs and make prints and collages and a bunch of other things because it's more fun to do lots of things.
So Alan, can you tell us what your inspiration for your work is?
It comes from a lot of different places, and each of the different pieces on different mediums have kind of different ideas behind it. Like a lot of the pieces are about interpretation of like how interpretation, analysis and reanalysis and over-analysis of like the same events and how things interact and how people can interact things and interpret things. And then other things are from perceptions of like how people view things from different places depending on their experiences, and some other things are about like human interaction. But sometimes with the photographs especially, it's almost like an obnoxious game where I play to see how close I can get to someone without them yelling, or it makes the city and streets more interesting. And I like to kind of show with the photographs like an interaction between like the people, the city, the designers, then and everyone, and advertisers and things, because people kind of think of cities as one-dimensional, being like the people or the buildings, but everything's like an interaction. Before this I was working just in my bedroom at home, and everything else always kind of gets in the way when you're doing it. Like there's always like a new episode of something to watch, or there's always like a dish to clean or something to hoover, so you kind of don't have the chance to focus. But right now I'm in here maybe 8-9 hours, and I kind of want to be here like 11, 12, 13 hours ideally. Also because I'm self-taught, like everything, the photographs, the drawing, the painting, so like kind of gives me a lot more confidence when I see other people doing things, and like I can ask like how something, like how you put together the oil paints and things, and something that seemed a lot more scarier at the time now seems quite easier to do, and I'm kind of looking forward to trying some different things that I wouldn't have probably tried myself.